By 16, you are sitting in a therapist's office that your management team booked. Not because they care about your mental health, but because the tabloids got the photos and something needs to be said publicly about getting help. By 16, you have not had a weekend off in 4 years. By 16, the version of you that exists in the world, the posters, the interviews, the carefully managed social media, the merchandise, the brand deals, the character everyone thinks they know, that version has generated more money than most people will see in a lifetime. By 16, you are exhausted in a way that does not have a name yet because you are still a child, and children are not supposed to be this kind of tired. Let's go back to the beginning. This is your life at every level as a child star. Level 1. You just want to perform. This is the thing that gets lost in every conversation about child stars. The beginning is real. The wanting is genuine. Nobody put it there. It was just there. You sang in the living room before anyone was watching. You put on shows for your family. You memorized things, songs, lines, routines, without being asked, without a coach, without a plan. Just because the performing felt like the most natural thing in the world. You are 7, or 8, or 9. You have no concept of an industry. You do not know what a contract is. You do not know what a manager is. You do not know that there is a machine that takes children who feel exactly the way you feel and turns them into products. You just know that when you perform, something happens in the room. People light up. And that lighting up feels like the most important thing. Your parent sees it too. They are not a monster at level 1. They are a parent watching their child do something with genuine joy and thinking, what if we gave that joy a bigger room? That is a human thought. That is a loving thought. It is also the first step. Level 2. The audition room is a different world from the living room. Everything in the living room said yes to you. The sofa was the right height for a stage. The family was the right size for an audience. The response was guaranteed before you started. The audition room does not care about any of that. The audition room is fluorescent lighting and a panel of adults with clipboards and 40 other children in the waiting area who all have the same look your parents said was unique to you. You learn things in the audition room that no child should have to learn at this age. That your value is conditional. That the thing you love doing in the living room is now being assessed. That there is a version of you they want and a version of you they do not want, and your job, at 7 years old, is to figure out which version they want and become it before the session is over. Some children fold in the audition room. They cry. They freeze. The thing that was natural in the living room stops being natural when the clipboard comes out. You do not fold. You figure out the room. You read the panel. You feel what they need, and you give it to them. This is a remarkable skill. It is also a skill that will cost you something significant later, because a child who learns to read rooms and perform whatever version of themselves the room requires is a child who is learning to separate from themselves at an age when identity is supposed to be forming. You book the job. Your parent cries in the car. You eat a burger and fall asleep before you finish it. Level 3. The job is small. A commercial. A guest spot. A supporting role in something that shoots in 3 weeks and wraps before your school gets back from spring break. But something happens on set. You take direction like you were born to it. The crew notices. The director notices. The person whose job it is to notice things that are worth money notices. You are not nervous. You are home. This is the cruelest thing about the beginning. The set feels like home. The lights, the camera, the action, the feeling of everyone in the room focused on the thing you are doing. It is the living room, but infinite. It is the audition room, but the answer is yes. You want more of it. Your parent wants more of it. The agent who just signed you wants more of it. And the industry, which has been doing this for 100 years and knows exactly what a child who takes direction like they were born to it is worth. The industry definitely wants more of it. Nobody asks you if you want to do this forever. It does not occur to anyone to ask. You are booking more jobs. The schedule gets fuller. You are missing some school. Not much yet, just some. Your friends are at school while you are on set, and on set is better than school, so this seems like a good arrangement. It will seem like a good arrangement for a while. Level 4. The thing that changes everything. A role, a show, a moment. The specific project that moves you from working child actor to household name. Maybe it is a network show that runs for 5 seasons. Maybe it is a franchise film. Maybe it is a platform series that breaks records in its first weekend. Maybe it is a song that goes to #1 before you are old enough to drive. The specifics do not matter. What matters is what happens after. Your face is everywhere. On magazines at the grocery checkout your family uses. On billboards in cities you have never been to. On merchandise in stores in countries that do not speak your language. Other children know your name. They know your character's name. They know your catchphrase. They know what you look like when you cry in episode 7 because they watched episode 7 11 times. You are 11 years old. You are a brand. And nobody, not your parents, not your management, not the network that is printing money with your face on it. Nobody explains to you what that means, what it costs, what it requires. They just tell you how special you are. They tell you this every day. They tell you this every day, and the telling starts to become its own kind of pressure, because special requires maintenance, and you are 11, and maintenance is a full-time job. Level 5. The machine reveals itself. You are in a meeting. You are 12, maybe 13. The meeting is about you, your image, your brand trajectory, your social media presence, your demographic appeal, your renewal negotiations. You are sitting in the meeting. They are talking about you in the third person. Your manager, your agent, the network executive, your publicist, your parent, who is also in the room, who started as the person who drove you to auditions and is now something more complicated than that. You are sitting at the table and you are listening to adults discuss your personality as if it is a product to be optimized. What do we do about the gap between her actual age and the age her audience needs her to be? How do we manage the transition without losing the demographic? Is there a world where we lean into the growing up, or do we hold it as long as possible? Nobody asks you. You are 12 years old, and you are in the room, and nobody asks you. And this specific meeting, is the level where you understand something for the first time. Not consciously, not in words you could articulate to anyone, but somewhere underneath the performing and the smiling and the being special. You understand that you are not the person in this room. You are the subject of this room. There is a difference, a significant one. Level 6, the things you did not get. Not the things the industry took. The things that just did not happen because there was no room for them. You did not have a normal first day of high school. You were on location. You did not have a first crush that stayed private. It was photographed and published and commented on by adults online before you fully understood what you felt. You did not have bad days that stayed yours. Every bad day was a PR situation. You did not have friends who knew you before. Everyone who knows you now knows the version of you that exists in the machine. The version before the machine is a person only your family remembers, and they are now so deep in the machine themselves that sometimes even they seem to be remembering someone else. You are 14 and you are homesick for a life you are still technically living. The work is non-stop. The schedule is brutal. There are tutors instead of school, hotels instead of home, security instead of freedom, and a team of adults whose income depends on you continuing to perform at this level indefinitely. You cannot be sick. You cannot be tired. You cannot have an off day because off days cost money, and money is what this entire structure runs on, and the structure has been built around you so thoroughly that you cannot see where you end and it begins. You are 14. You are a professional. Nobody seems to notice the gap between those two things. Level 7. Something starts to show. It is not a breakdown. Not yet. It is subtler than that. It is the interview where you give an answer that is not on brand, and you see the publicist's face in the corner of the room go very still. It is the photograph that gets taken on a Tuesday when you forgot to be the character for 30 seconds. It is the lyric you write that is actually about how you feel, and someone in the label meeting asks if you can make it more relatable, and you sit with the specific horror of being told the truth of your own experience is not relatable enough for mass consumption. It is the birthday where you are surrounded by people and you feel, clearly, unmistakably, completely alone. You are 15, 16, old enough to understand what is happening, not old enough to have the tools or the power to do anything about it. You start pushing back, not dramatically, in small ways. You are late to set once. You say something unscripted in a press interview. You post something on your personal account that was not approved by the team. The response is immediate and total. A meeting is called. Everyone is concerned. They frame the concern as care. They are worried about you. They want to make sure you are okay. They want to support you through whatever you are going through. What they actually want is for you to go back to being the product. You know this. They know you know this. Neither of you says it out loud. Level 8. Nobody tells you this level exists, but it does. Somewhere in the years between 15 and 19, while you are still young enough to be managed but old enough to start understanding the terms of what you are in, a quiet negotiation happens. Not in a meeting room, not with lawyers present. It happens in the space between what you are asked to do and what you agree to do. They need you to maintain the image, the clean image, the brand image, the image that keeps the network happy and the deals flowing and the parents of your demographic comfortable with their children idolizing you. In exchange, you get, and this is where it gets complicated, you get to keep the career, the platform, the access, the money, the specific kind of relevance that a child star who has been famous since they were 9 years old has, and that is the only life they have ever known. The deal is never spoken, but you feel it. In the things you are asked not to say, the relationships you are advised against, the music or the roles or the opinions that are quietly discouraged because they do not serve the image. You make the deal, not because you are weak, because you are 17 years old and the career is the only identity you have, and losing it is the most terrifying thing you can imagine. And the people who benefit from the deal know this. They have always known this. Level 9. It comes out. Not the deal, not the meetings, not the years of being managed and packaged and optimized. Just you, the real you, the tired you, the been doing this since you were 7 and I am 19 years old and I have not had a private moment in 12 years you. It comes out in public because everything about your life has been public and there is nowhere else for it to go. Maybe it is a photograph, a night out, a statement, a breakdown that happens in a place with cameras because every place in your life has cameras. And the response, the cultural response, the media response, the internet response, is extraordinary in its hypocrisy. The same machine that built you, that managed you, that took the child who sang in the living room and turned them into a brand before they were old enough to vote. That machine now covers your breaking point as a cautionary tale. Experts are assembled. Think pieces are written. People who do not know you explain what happened to you in authoritative detail. And the industry, the network, the management company, the label, the franchise, watches from a careful distance and says nothing, because saying something would require acknowledging what they did, and what they did was profitable, and profitable things do not get acknowledged as mistakes. You are 19. You are a cautionary tale. You did not cause this. They built the conditions and then acted surprised when the conditions produced exactly what conditions like that always produce. Level 10. Time passes. You are 23, 25, 28. The people who watched you grow up have complicated feelings about you now. They want you to be okay, genuinely, because they grew up with you and there is something real in that. But they also want you to be the specific person they remember from when you were 11, and that person no longer exists in the form they remember, and that gap is something they have not fully made peace with. You are trying to make art that is yours. Some of it lands, some of it does not. The audience that found you when you were a child is not always the audience for the person you have become. You give an interview where you talk about some of what happened, not all of it, the calculated amount, the amount that reads as honest without opening anything that cannot be closed again. You are asked if you would do it again. You pause before answering. The pause is the answer. What comes out of your mouth after the pause is professional and measured and probably true. But the pause was the real thing. Because you are 25 and you are still performing. Not on a set, not in a studio, just in the world. Managing the space between who you are and who the world decided you were when you were 7 years old and sang in the living room and made the room light up. You are still trying to find the version of yourself that existed before the audition room. You are not sure you remember what they felt like, but you are looking. And maybe that is level 10. Not the resolution, just the looking. Every child star starts as a child. That sounds obvious. It is apparently not obvious to the industry that builds careers on them. The machine does not break children on purpose. It breaks them incidentally, as a byproduct of a system that was designed to extract value and was never designed to account for the fact that the thing it is extracting value from is a person who is still forming. The question is never whether the child was talented. They were always talented. The question is who was in the room when the contracts were signed, and what they were thinking about when they signed them. Subscribe, tell me which level hit different, and drop the next topic in the comments.